Hi, welcome back, or thank you for coming in if this is your first time. I am Jenny. I talk about random things that pop into my head, and I don't know if you want to hear more of just random things that I want to talk about, then go ahead and subscribe. You can sit. You don't have to agree with me, but you're welcome to put comments below. Just please remember to be nice. Everybody has their own opinion, and we want to be nice to each other. So I was watching Lindy Glenn this morning. She's a channel that I follow pretty regularly, and she has mostly a reselling channel, but she's also had an actual brick and mortar store, and she does a lot of interesting things. She sells peanuts or nuts, candied nuts somehow. I guess she sells. I don't know. She does a lot of stuff, and I've learned a lot from her. And she had a video on this morning about Walmart floor walkers and is it ethical or not. And I just wanted to talk about it because as she was doing her video, something was interesting about how, in my opinion, and what I've observed over the years, the profile of the common shoplifter may have changed. So I think some people are kind of not happy about the floor walkers, but in reality, this is not a new thing. And I guess just to give you an understanding what a floor walker is, they are people who are employed by a store, because it doesn't have to be Walmart. And I'll tell you about an experience that I had. But they're hired by the store. They look just like everybody else, and their job is to go around the store and prevent shoplifting. And Walmart has this kind of elaborate system, I guess, for figuring out who's a shoplifter and who's not. And it starts actually in the parking lot with them. One thing that wasn't made clear to me, though, is how they tell the walker who their quote target is. But from what I gathered, basically these employees sit in a car in the parking lot, and they sit near the door, and somebody will tell them, okay, it's a red car with a man wearing a ball cap, and he has a beard, and he's wearing a blue shirt. And so then they follow this person into the store, just either behind or in front of them. So that it looks like they got to the store at the same time. Okay? And they follow them around. And they may film them while they're there as well, for legal purposes if they have to go to court. And they just watch and see what they're doing. And they also have certain things that they do actually look for as far as appearances go. So from what I understand, if you look like you're wearing some sort of a uniform, like you got off work and you're wearing your work uniform, you're not as likely to be a suspect. If you look like you just got out of church, or you're professional looking, not really a suspect. And I'm going to explain why this is a problem here, profiling people by the way they look. If you look like you came to Walmart in your pajamas, which, this has been a long-standing joke, right? The pajama people at Walmart. You're probably more likely to be a suspect. And to be quite honest with you, I most of the time look like a bum. My clothes are stained and dirty, and I look terrible most of the time. And of course, I'm doing just like everybody else. I go into Walmart after I get off work to pick up whatever, like we do our day's work, and we stop by the store on our way home. And so I'm wearing my work clothes, but they're not uniforms, right? So anyway, that's what they do. And it wasn't really very clear, other than they go out all the way to your car, like they film you to your car. But that part to me doesn't make a lot of sense, because once somebody gets to their car, they can get away. Like, it seems to me it would be better to catch somebody outside the door before they get to their car, but that's just my thoughts. Anyway, so a long time ago, I was a teenager, and I had an experience. At the time, they called them store detectives. I don't know if they were actually part of the legal workforce, like law enforcement or not, but that's what they called them. And at Christmas time, because I was a teenager and my mother had horrible taste, and I didn't like, well, she had her taste, I'll just put it that way, and I was a teenager. I didn't like the clothes that she got me for Christmas anymore. You know how teenagers are, right? So my mom was smart. She would give me money for Christmas. I would get a pretty large amount of money, and I could buy whatever I wanted with it. And so after Christmas, during winter break, I would go shopping. And this one day, that's what I was doing. I was out shopping, and I had a friend with me who I had, this was probably the last time I went shopping with her too, because she had a problem with shoplifting. And I was constantly telling her, no, don't do that. No, don't do that. I'm tired. I didn't want to be associated with that. And so anyway, I had an armful of stuff, and we were in the dressing room, and I'm trying things on. And there were things that I liked and things that I didn't like, and I was taking things out, and I was still carrying stuff around. And I noticed this woman just standing outside the dressing room. She was just standing there, like, casually. I think she thought looked like she was looking for somebody, or waiting on somebody. But the sad part of it is, it was during the work day, and it was just me and my girlfriend in the dressing room. So we were still wandering around the store. I hadn't decided what I wanted, and I noticed she's like browsing on the little shelf, like next to where we were or whatever. And everywhere we moved, she was right behind us. And so we started kind of walking pretty fast around the store, and this lady actually kind of had to run a little bit to keep up with us. And so I knew what was going on, and I was furious with my friend. She hadn't stolen anything, because I wouldn't let her, but she liked to do that kind of stuff. And so what I did is I took all my stuff up to the counter where you pay, and I plopped it down, and I told him I know what she's doing, and I didn't like it. And I didn't buy anything that day, because amazingly, even as a kid, I knew that there was power in purchase or not. But I had a lot of money on me, actually. My mother gave me, back in the day, about $250 for Christmas, which, in the late 70s and early 80s, $200 could buy you a lot of clothes, okay? So anyway, I didn't buy anything that day, and I walked out of the store. But I think the problem with what's going on with Walmart is how they're profiling people. Now, maybe I'm just dumb, and maybe the statistics have changed. That's a possibility, because at the time frame when I was being stalked by this person in the store, according to what you read in the newspapers and magazines, the person that was most likely to shoplift was a middle-aged, a middle-class white woman, not a middle-aged, a middle-class white woman. In other words, what they were saying is, the person who probably needed to shoplift, maybe not the least, but the second least, definitely didn't need to be shoplifting, was people like me, okay? And, that was a profile. Now, whether those numbers were correct or not, I don't know. And now it seems like what I was telling you, the person who goes to Walmart in pajama bottoms. And, so when Walmart first started with first they had greeters When people came in, they would say, welcome to Walmart, and they'd give you a card. Welcome to Walmart. Well, that's kind of changed, Now, when you leave, somebody's there, and they want to see your receipt. And when they first started doing that, there was a lot of videos of people like, I'm not stealing anything, and, getting all upset, and a lot of people were saying that it was because of their skin tone. I want to be very careful here, okay? Because I don't know the statistics. I do know that certain people are aware of how they're profiled, and so they have to be extra careful because of that, which is kind of sad. But what are the real numbers? And my feelings and my opinion on this is kind of torn, because honestly, anybody can shoplift, okay? And I think some people do it just for the thrill. I don't think you have to be a certain color or a certain socioeconomic class. Anybody can do it. It's a matter of character. But I also know a couple things. I'm going to go back and experience here for a second. So if you know, I've been a hairdresser. I was a hairdresser for a long time. I've worked in high dollar salons. I've worked in economy salons. I've worked in neighborhoods where people had a lot of money. And I've worked in poor neighborhoods. And the stores where I had the most problems, twofold actually, with shrinkage is what they call it in retail. It's when people steal things, or things that disappear. The stores that I had the most shrinkage were in the neighborhoods where there was the most money. And I did work in a neighborhood that was kind of dangerous actually when I first started in management, and had no shrinkage. And the other comparison, just as a side note, was the way people let their kids behave in the store. There were, in the neighborhoods or the salons that were more expensive, there tended to be more kids running around. And that's dangerous in a beauty salon, in case you're wondering, because you've got chemicals and you've got hot appliances and other things going on in there that could hurt the hairdresser, the customer, and the child. So, the kids didn't seem to behave as well, whereas in this one salon that I was telling you about where things were dangerous, those people didn't let their kids touch anything. And I know why. It's because if something happened, they didn't have the money to replace it and that kind of thing. But I just think it's odd that we put people in a pocket, and say, well, this is the type of person that does this kind of thing. Maybe there's statistics to back that up. I don't know. There probably is. But anybody can be a thief. So, coming back to the ethics, I guess, of floor walkers. Is it ethical or is it not? Even though I had my panties in a bunch because I felt like I was being profiled, and I was with a kleptomaniac at the time. And I knew that if she stole something, I would be blamed for it too, okay? I knew that. Do I think it was bad? Not really. I really don't. We want to be able to go to the stores and be able to afford things. And what happens is, I think people don't realize this. It's not just one-off when they go in and steal something. You're probably not the only person that's taking things from, not you guys, but you know what I'm saying. Theft is a problem. Obviously it's a problem, or they wouldn't have these things put in place to prevent it, right? And this, every penny adds up. And guess where it goes? It goes to the people who are willing to pay for the items in the store. And I know that there's a lot of other contributing factors that go into the cost of goods. I'm not saying that, but this is one of them. Okay, shrinkage. And you got to think about not only the stuff that disappears, but also the cost that goes into to prevent it from disappearing. Like, if they have these store walkers or store detectives or whatever you want to call them, people who walk around the store looking for shoplifters, they've got to pay them, plus the cameras and every other thing. So I don't personally find it a bad thing that they have them in the stores. I think it's a sad thing that they have to have them, but also very necessary, because this is just how humans are. They do stuff. So I would love to know how you feel about it. I'd like to know if you've ever been profiled. That would be interesting to know. I think, honestly, because of my age, probably because I'm white, those two things work in my favor at this time in our society. But there's another factor that I think plays into my feeling okay, like I'm not going to be harassed in the store. And that is that I tend to frequent the same stores. So you get to know the people that come into your businesses regularly. I go to the same Kroger most of the time. I go to the same gas station most of the time. I go to the same Walmart most of the time, etc. All the stores that I frequent, I go to the same ones most of the time. And so you see the same employees there, and they see you. And when I go in, I try to be pleasant, have a nice day, how are you doing, and say please and thank you. So they know who I am. They don't necessarily know my name, but they recognize my face, and they know me to be a pleasant customer, because I try to be a pleasant customer. I don't really try to cause a problem in the store. And so it does pay to be kind and pleasant, and go to the regular places, because you'll get to know the checkout people and the guy that works in the produce department and all that. You know, they'll see your face, they'll know you, and they'll know your character. If you're in there all the time, why would you be stealing from that store, right? Because that's just going to make you vulnerable to get caught. So, and they'll look out for you too. Anyway, that's my thoughts. I would love to know what you think.